Hi, and welcome to the second episode of Setting It Straight. Today's episode is called Why Not Shirk? Why not Shirk? What does Shirk mean? Shirk means associating partners with God, setting up rivals with God, saying, for example, that there is another God, there is a second God, there's a human being who is God or son of God, there is a rat that is equal to God or a cow that is equal to God. All of this falls under the category of shirk. And the reason why we're talking about this is we're continuing on from our previous episode of Why Am I a Muslim, and how it's more logical to worship the Creator than the creation. A lot of people ask me, so what? I worship a human being, I worship an idol, I worship a stone, I believe God has a son, so what? I always give them the answer back. I say to them, for example, imagine you had a son, you raised him your entire life, you took care of him, you changed his nappies, you fed him, you provided for him, and then he grows up to be a young man, and then he says to you, you're not my father. How would that make you feel? Would that not break your heart? The very least your son should do after you took care of him is say, look, you're my father. That's the least, that's his title, he's earned that title. And it's the same principle with God. When He created us, He fed us, He nurtured us, He provided for us. The very least we should do is say, look, I'm going to worship God. I'm not going to worship an idol or a human being or a cow or a rat. I'm going to worship God. I'm not going to worship a son of God or any of this. I'm going to worship my Creator. And I always say, Islam is based on a very specific premise. It is to bear witness that there is no God, no idols, nothing worthy of worship except for the one true God. I asked my friend once, if I asked you to bear witness that your mother was your mother, would you do it? And he said to me, yes. I said to him, why? And he said to me, I don't know, because she's my mum. I said to him, I'll tell you why. Because she carried you in her stomach, she gave birth to you, she fed you, she nurtured you, she changed your nappies, she gave you everything until you grew up. She has earned the title of being called your mother. You can call no one else but your mother, because she is your mother. She did that, she earned that title. Similarly, your Creator, He created you, He gave you hearing and sight and intellect and the air we breathe. All of this is proof that He is your Creator. And this is why, as Muslims, it is a big deal that we say that God has a son or a partner or an idol or a rat or a cow. This is why it's a huge sin in Islam, because the very least we should do is recognize that He is our Creator. Step number one, to say that He is our Creator alone and we will worship none but Him. This is the bare minimum. And this is why we say there is no shirk in Islam. This is why we say there is no association in Islam, that God has no sons or partners, because it's the bare minimum that we should say. First, recognize our Creator before we do anything else. And this is why we don't have shirk. And that was today's episode of Saying It Straight. Thank you so much for listening, and hopefully I will see you again every Saturday here from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock, anytime you want to come. Feel free to ask. A respectful, fun dialogue where we listen to each other, we get to know one another. This is all part of the experience of faith, getting to know one another, appreciating one another. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.